Hi everyone, welcome to the Menzies School of Health Research podcast series for the NT Youth Health Summit initiative called Youth Choices, Youth Voices, where we aim to hear from young people and specialists about youth health priorities in the NT. A special shout out to our sponsors for this event, including Hot North, CDU, the Northern Territory Government, NTPHN, Bridging the Gap, Ironbark Corporation, and Charter Air. I'm Lateesha Jeffrey, and today on the very first episode, I'll be having a chat with Sizol Fuyana from Fuyana Support. Following her own battles with suicide and depression, Sizol has worked hard to turn her life around and commit to supporting others. She established Fuyana Support, a youth-oriented consultancy firm that is focused on empowering and encouraging young people. Sizol has partnered with the likes of City of Palmerston, Dondale, and other clients to improve outcomes for young Territorians, support their social and emotional well-being. Sizol is a law and psychology student who has volunteered for many working groups and is on the 2021 Northern Territory Youth Roundtable. Welcome to the podcast, Sizol. Thank you for joining me. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling good. Thank you for having me.
So amazing to have you. I've read a lot of your background. But can you please tell us a little bit about yourself, like where you're from, where you grew up, and what you're doing now?
Yeah, so I was born in Zimbabwe, in Africa. I left there when I was 3. We moved to England for 10 years. I lived in Peterborough, which is about an hour away from London. And I've been in Darwin for the past 9 years now. But yeah, so I've traveled around, Melbourne, Perth, but it's mainly, I've only lived in Darwin.
Lovely. So you talk a lot about mental health and your journey through some tough times. Are you able to share a little bit about that journey?
Yeah, so I think growing up, I was always like an outgoing kid. Like I was the one who was always naughty at school, like, the class clown. So I never really, mental health was never a thing for me growing up. I was like, oh, I just go play sports or just like, you know what I mean? So it sort of started in towards the end of 2018. I realized I was feeling like, we all have bad days, but mine were like prolonged bad weeks. And I was like, maybe like I just need to go to the gym or like, you know what I mean? You sort of just like avoid it. And then end of year 12, I completely bummed out of year 12. Like I failed year 12 and I was like, but I wanted to be a lawyer. So CDU accepted me. And so I was like, okay, let me take 6 months off, started in July 2019. And so I got myself a job at a law firm as a clerk. And, like it's coming out of high school and getting a job, everyone's like, wow, like it's pretty amazing. And so I went to finance a car at the age of 18. You know how that ends. And yes. I thought life was good, like I was like, this is perfect, this is what I want. But I still wasn't happy. It's almost like I was trying to seek fulfillment from the money, from the car, from all these external sources, but I still wasn't happy. And then it sort of just went on and I realized, that it was either I felt myself going down a black hole. And I remember just feeling so hopeless and helpless. I was like, this is not gonna work. And then I was admitted in hospital. So my mum found me and I was admitted. And then obviously, the whole procedure, being in hospital, staying in the hospital while they sort of look after you. In the process, I lost my job and I had this car in finance. So the financial pressure sort of came, being 18, like you've got debt collectors chasing you for money, and I'm like, what do you want me to do? And so I think after that, I had sort of just given up. I lost my job. I was sitting around doing nothing at home and it just wasn't getting better. Like I was seeing psychiatrists, psychologists, but I just seemed nothing was working. I felt like nothing was working. And that's when, I had my second attempt. And ended up in hospital. They put me in a psych ward and, I was on suicide watch and everything. And then, look, I was released because, I said I was okay just to get released. And that didn't help me either because I ended up going back there for the 3rd time, back into hospital for the same reason. And I remember this nurse was like looking after me because I had to be on watch with like a security guard and a nurse.
Yeah.
And I remember just resisting everything. I was like, I was just on fire. I was a firehead. Like I didn't want to be there. And this nurse looked at me and she said, Sizol, you know what? One day you're going to change the world. And I looked at her and I said, I'm in debt. I've lost my job. How is that? I'm in the psych ward. How is that possible? And I was just so angry because I just didn't see it. I didn't see where she was coming from.
Yeah.
So coming out, I still remember her and I still talk to her to this day. I was like, okay, let me apply for jobs. Let me try something. And because I was playing video games in that whole period of having no job, I was addicted to Fortnite. Like,
oh.
and so I sold my PlayStation. I was like, you know what, I did a lot of soul searching because I wanted answers. I was like, if I'm still alive, there has to be a reason why. And it's almost like an awakening or something came about. And I was like, there has to be a purpose to my life. There has to be a reason why I'm still here because I should be dead, basically. So I did a lot of soul searching and I realized that my mindset, I had to change my mindset. And that, because I was so used to blaming everyone else for where I was, like blaming my family, my friends, I realized it was me versus me and not me versus the world.
Yeah.
So when I realized all this stuff, like, you know, Tony Robbins and, you know, all this stuff, I was like, wait, like I have the power within me to bring change. So instead of looking at unemployment as bad, because I applied for jobs that I was rejected from McDonald's, like every job I applied for, I was rejected. So instead of taking the rejections and perceiving it as bad, I told myself, maybe I'm too good. Like, so if that's the case, what do? You start your own business. So I really, yeah, it was all the soul searching that led to this. And then, yeah, I started my own business. I looked at value because okay, in society, we're paid for our time and value. What value do you bring to society? Because everyone's chasing money, but they don't realize that your service, your rewards in life will be an exact proportion to your service. So I looked at ways that I can serve my community. And I was passionate about young people because, you know, I'm still a young person myself. I'm only 20.
Yeah.
How can I support young people using what I've gone through? So I started developing youth programs. And because I grew up in England, football, you know, soccer is the sport there. So I looked at life skills in soccer because the same emotional management you need in soccer is the same emotional management you need outside. So trying to connect put them together. So that's how this all came about.
First of all, thank you for sharing that. I'm sitting here and I'm just in awe. I think it's one thing to read your story on a piece of paper, but it's another thing to really, actually share it with you. That's pretty amazing. So obviously there was a turning point for you. So do you feel that it was I'm not sure if you want to share a name, but when it was that lady that actually said to you that you're destined for bigger things, or?
I think it was her, like it was, and then because I was like, if she can see it and she's seen the mess I'm in, she has to see something, you know.
Yeah.
So I think it was her, and then it was also like coming out of hospital and then like still being there because the doctors were like, you shouldn't be alive, like it was impossible how I'd come out of all of that. And you know, especially not even the fact that I wasn't paralyzed in any way, considering how many pills I had taken. So they were, you know, there was times where I was like, maybe there's a reason why I'm still here. So yeah.
Amazing. And I know someone who comes from a sporting background, transferable skills that you learn in sport are amazing when it comes to life as well. So thank you again. What message do you have for young people who might be going through those kind of challenges at the moment?
I don't want to say hold in there, because that's what people said to me, and I was like, I can't hold on any longer. And the biggest thing for me is talk to people. And I know it's hard because I was someone who's very shut off. I didn't trust people. I trust issues. And my thing is, you talk to people and don't see it as a negative, because for so long I tried to run away from my past, because everyone sees the Sizol who's like the young achiever, you know, the one on the newspaper. So I tried to like push away the old Sizol, and I just felt I was embarrassed by the old Sizol. But don't be embarrassed. Your story is the reason why someone else might stay alive, you know. And that's what I realized with me is that by me sharing my story, people have gone, wow, I can do this. And that's been my intention, not to impress anyone, but to express to people the same power that's within them. And speaking out, I started a podcast called The Reality Change, just to talk about these issues, because I feel like if one person sparks the conversation, it sort of, ravels on.
Yeah.
So speaking out and really owning your story, and not seeing it in a negative light, but seeing it as, wow, this is what I went through. I've come out of this. Now I can help others.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's amazing. That's an amazing way to look at it, because a lot of the time we look and we go, I've been that person, so I can't become this person. But hey, that person is you. It's still a part of you, and it's why you're here. So yeah, that's really, really amazing. But I am interested to hear a lot more about the Fuyana Support and what made you, obviously you've explained what made you start up this consultancy, but what have you got going on? You spoke about a podcast. What else?
Yeah, so I basically, look, when I first started this, like, you could imagine being 19 and starting a business and everyone's looking at you like, what are you doing? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I was a bit like, I think I was on fire. Like, I was just on fire for change, and I had found my purpose. I was just so driven. And I was like, well, how can I serve my community? So basically I developed youth programs and looking at ways that we can better engage with young people. Because the thing is, it's all good for us to go in there and talk to them about respect. But if there's no there's no rapport or engagement, we're not going to get anywhere. So, and being a young person who was always suspended at school, I sort of get it. You know what I mean? Like, I just get these kids, and I go into Dondale and sometimes the kids are like, Miss, like, how do you get me? And I'm like, I used to be like you guys. Like, and you see it because when you first come in, they're very shut off. When I first go run a session with Red Cross or City of Palmerston or Paba, they're very shut off, and it's just about taking time to build that rapport. So I may have a 2-hour session planned, but if we want to do nail painting for that session, I'm just going to have to do the nail painting just to build that relationship with the young person. Yeah. And once we hit the relationship, that's when we can have those conversations. Like with the girls that I work with, it's more teaching them self-care, because they're at that stage where they're looking for love through men and through, relationships where it starts with self first. So I'm trying to teach them that basic self-respect, and you value yourself first. You don't depend on someone else to value you. So sort of doing that in a way where it's like through nail painting or through activities, not so much sitting in a classroom and talking about respect, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so it is a bit hard, like, because coming out, trying to come up with programs that work, programs that have a meaning to them, because I just feel like if I'm going to do something, I need to see a difference. I want to feel like I'm making a difference in people's lives. But the whole goal with Fuyana Support is to finish my law degree and then go work as an anti-government lawyer for 2 years for experience in prosecution. And then obviously I'll hire people to manage the business. And then I'll come back and start a law firm as well. So I still have the programs running, but also open up a law firm. And so the podcast, The Reality Change, I was going to do that in one business, but I've separated the two. So that one's like personal development, like motivational stuff, just to help people. So we're on, all social media platforms, but the goal with that one is also to launch a merch, like the whole merch thing for that business. So that's a goal long term. And
Wow. I wish I had your wealth of knowledge at that age. I think this is amazing. I'm feeling very inspired by you myself. And you're also a member and a chair of the Youth Roundtable. Can you tell us a bit about that and what you like most about it?
Yeah, so I must say I got pulled into it. I wasn't going to do it because of like how busy I am already. But everyone was like, Sizol, you need to apply for this. So I was like, okay, let me apply. And I think with me, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't try to be a leader. I don't try to talk. I think it just naturally there. So when we went for our first meeting, I was a bit quiet. Like I like to be that person that brings people together. So if I see, because when in the first meeting, everyone's a bit like in their own little tables. So if I like be the middle person that sort of brings everyone together, it will work in a way. Yeah. So I tried, my best to do that. and then I got nominated as chair. So so then they did the voting, and they voted me in. And it's just, I think leadership is about service. That's been, and look, the team knows I'm not someone to micromanage. I just feel like when we micromanage, we diminish people's creativity. So a lot of people are like to me, what should I do with social media coordinator? Like my social media coordinator is like always like apologizing to me. She's like, Sizol, I'm sorry I'm not posting. I'm like, dude, you do what you need to do. Yeah, like I'm not a micromanager. I just feel like I need to guide rather than like force. Say for example, because as a leader you won't have it all. You won't have all the ideas. So it's about listening to all our team members, and if we differ in ideas or suggestions, it's about coming together and seeing how we can put the two together, because there's ways we can work around different ideas. But look, I've enjoyed it. I'm not a boss. The team knows I'm not someone to like harass anyone. I'm like, if you wanna do it, let's see how we can get it done. And it's as the round table is something we do outside of our time. It's not like it's not like our work or our uni or something. So it does take a bit of time, like out of our day, but it's good. I do enjoy it.
Sounds amazing. Thank you so much, Sizol, for joining the podcast today. Did you have anything else you'd like to add before we go, or another message you'd like to for young people?
Another message for young people: enjoy life. That's my advice, because I think being 20 and then the commitments I have, I feel like I'm 40. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I'm a mom working, because of how like serious I'm gonna be when I go to meetings with ministers. But I think and do what you love, because people try to do this, you should do that, go be a doctor, do what you want to do. If that's because the thing is, money can only take you so far, because we're all trying to chase money. Don't chase money, chase your purpose and look for ways that you can serve people through what you love. That's my advice.
Thank you so much. That was the very first episode of our Menzies School of Health Research podcast series for the NT Youth Health Summit initiative called Youth Choices, Youth Voices. It is always so inspiring to hear what young people in the NT and Australia are doing to make a difference to young people's health and well-being. Such an incredible story of strength, Sizol. Thank you so much. Thank you for watching today's Menzies podcast. If you or anyone you know is going through a tough time, remember to reach out to friends or family or call for help via a helpline such as Lifeline on 131114. If you can, please support the Youth Health Summit initiative by getting in touch via the Menzies School of Health Research website. Thank you for listening. Please join us again next time.